Edith S. Davis writes this letter on March 22, 1919, in New York City to Bess Peebles Fox. She writes about her condolences to Mrs. Fox. It was her husband, Dr. Walter H. Fox, who had previously passed away that year. She informs Mrs. Fox how her husband was by his side while he was ill, writing, "Today I received a letter from my husband, Captain Davis. He tells me how he went to Dr. Fox in his illness and was with him through it all." It was during 1918 and 1919 that the United States experienced part of a worldwide influenza pandemic. It infected 28% of the American population and killed 675,000. Reports show that 30 to 50 million people throughout the entire world died from this virus. The pandemic killed more people in 1 year than the Black Death did in the entire 14th century. Dr. Fox was infected while working at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. This fort was located below Fort Riley, Kansas, the birthplace of the influenza pandemic. It can be assumed that he had the influenza virus that ultimately killed him. Mrs. Davis writes of her admiration of Dr. Fox and his dedication towards helping the infected soldiers. She continues on to reassure Mrs. Fox that her and her husband will be there to support her through this time. She writes about her visit to the camp where Dr. Fox was stationed. It was at Camp Merritt that her and her daughter saw the devastation of the influenza pandemic. There were 1,300 deaths due to the influenza virus at this camp alone. It was after seeing these men that Mrs. Davis made her decision to work in a hospital. She is willing to sacrifice her health to help the ill like Dr. Fox. She was inspired after seeing the commitment the camp doctors gave to save their soldiers. Mrs. Davis is accepting of what will happen to her health by working there at the hospital. She concludes her letter in hopes that Mrs. Fox can be strong after the death of her husband. She reminds her that this is one of the hard things that war brings. Continued anxiety and heartache is common to us all. We never know who's to be more heavily stricken, nor when, nor how, and the days are very long. My words are meager, but my heart is just brimming with tears for you, and I know that you are doing what your husband would have you do, doing your best to bravely carry on.